A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back once again to HJN Season 4, where we're going to have lots more to talk about regarding HJN subjects. I'd say we have a pretty good list worth to deal with for the rest of this whole month. And even into May, I'm sure that we're going to have lots more to cover just as well. But for this reason, we're going to be talking about homeowning for 2642. Now, homeowning itself, as I've mentioned before, is one of those unique responsibilities that probably not everybody will be taking advantage of. And whether this could be as a result of certain complications because of certain homeowning industries out there, homeowners associations across the entirety of the United States, or it could even be because the housing market has gotten incredibly systolic. As in, it's a bit hard to keep track of anything good regarding the housing market, with prices going up and down, with certain changes going on to certain parts of whatever house it is you might be looking forward to buy. It probably doesn't even need to be a house in general. It could even be your own studio apartment or condominium. It could even be, let's say, just a certain Morton building or a certain shed or storage room that you might have. Yeah, it's a bit hard to believe that. The fact is, we could see some people living in such situations like that. Just because you go and pay the money for that stuff, apparently it does allow for you to make that sort of thing happen. But in all seriousness, I will say that while not everybody might have the chance to do homeowning of their own, I myself was able to take up this sort of thing. And it's because of a number of reasons. From having some good, successful work, for one thing, for having some people whom are rather supportive of my decision making, as well as all of the work I put into to help the community. But most importantly, it's a big responsibility. While it is mostly a financial sort of thing, there's also other things to be on the lookout for as well. For instance, if this is the kind of thing that you're hoping to do, there's some things in there that you'd have to learn to expect. There's always going to be neighbors, whether they're nosy, whether they're creepy, whether they're out of the ordinary, perhaps. They might have a bunch of kids, they might have a bunch of animals around their area, sometimes the ones that are outside the usual comfort zone for some. You might be afraid of certain things they might have. They might have certain substances in their body. They might have a record that you might not even be aware of. Though there is sources of which that you can look this sort of stuff up. No joke. But with all things to be considered regarding neighbors that you might have when it comes to homeowning, it sure is an idea that some people might actually take for granted. There's plenty of people I've had in my area that have moved out. And while some people have since moved in, it's a bit hard to keep them for basically more than 10 months. And this typically has something to do with the fact that certain housing might not exactly be within someone's budget. It really makes you wonder. When you're going to check the place out, we're going to talk with the real estate agency, when you're going to have your guide show you around the place, as well as go through the paperwork and whatnot. Have you ever thought about thinking twice before you even consider putting money down for a house that you're going to be having for a long time? I will say, having this place for a few years myself, the only real thing that I need to be on the lookout for are the bills every month. And this mainly has to do with the resources and utilities, as well as the occasional credit and grocery related stuff. Not to mention the fact that my income has split down because of paying for a Roth IRA income, as well as some brand new medical insurance. As being the age of 26, I'm going to be cut off from my old insurance. So it's considered a legal requirement in the state. So I have to move on to a different provider, or at least just start up a plan of my own. Regardless of the medical stuff that may go on behind the scenes, it at least goes to show that homeowning just happens to be quite the responsibility. Some that might be considered the greatest challenge. Biggest challenge, possibly. The way I see it though is that homeowning, apart from its own challenges, actually does have its own benefits. For instance, having yourself a nice big place to live with many accommodations that could be met. It could have its own included hot tub. It could have its own furniture for you. It could have unique lighting and a unique fixation on certain decorations, as well as window layouts, roof design, and sometimes there's always the chance that the home and property itself could be well managed. Sometimes people might come around and do the landscaping work. They could have weeds pulled up. They could have some reshingling done to the rooftop. They could have some cleanups done on the inside and out. There's always a good chance that some home improvement crews would come around and work on the home just so it's inviting enough for you and possibly your family, regardless of what it may be. I will say that having this home, mostly made possible because of many people I've had over the course of my life. They've pitched in and helped out financially. But I will say, even though my relationship doesn't really get to the point where it's together forever inside this house or otherwise, it at least is a good note to keep around. That I certainly will have what it takes. The support coming from people I know well, and the support that I got from my work. After all these years, I feel like that is more than worth mentioning. Either way you look at it though, homeowning, it doesn't really matter what you might think of it. It's still something that most will take up. If not everybody, but hey, there's always a different options. You have the home itself. It could be the ranch, it could be the small house, it could be the large house, it could be multiple floors, it could be multiple bedrooms and restrooms, it could be an apartment, it could be a condo, it could be whatever the possibility is. So I feel like that covers another piece of HJN.